Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventures. Just Dave here. Today, I'm talking about the movie Weird, the Al Yankovic Story. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you are concerned about spoilers and you haven't seen the movie yet, I would suggest you watch the movie first before you watch this review. So, Weird, the Al Yankovic Story is a parody about the parody biopic about the life of Weird Al Yankovic. As far as what I liked about the movie, overall, I thought the cast did a good job. I like Daniel Radcliffe. Evan Rachel Wood was good as Madonna. We had Rainn Wilson in there as Dr. Demento. He was good. Toby Huss, seeing him as this abusive dad was interesting because I know him as, of course, the Mattress King from Seinfeld, and then Artie, the strongest man in the world from Pete and Pete. Julianne Nicholson as his mom, Mary. I thought she was good. I liked David Bloom as Teenage Al, and then we had Diedrich Bader in there as the grizzled narrator. That was also kind of a funny joke. And on top of that, I'm going to go over a lot of the cast here because there's a bunch of cool cameos. We saw this kind of pool party scene mostly where we get a lot of them there. So we've got Emo Phillips is in there as Salvador Dali. It took me forever to figure out who that was. I'm looking, I'm like, man, that guy really kind of looks like him. He's doing a good Dali. Who is that? And then finally, just as Conan O'Brien comes into frame as Andy Warhol, I go, it's Emo Phillips. We had Jorma Taccone in there as, or Yorma Taccone, and as Pee Wee Herman. It was a great Pee Wee Herman impression. That was cool to see. Dimitri Martin was in there as Tiny Tim. We had Akiva Schaffer as Alice Cooper. Jack Black did Wolfman Jack, which was always cool. I like Wolfman Jack. And David Dastmalchian as John Deacon. And finally, Arturo Castro from Alternatino was the show I liked that he was on as Pablo Escobar. So again, a lot of great little cameos, a lot of fun people like this. You had some people like Paul F. Tompkins as Gallagher, that whatever, but nothing against him, but just he didn't really look like him or act like him, or it's fine. A bunch of stuff like that. The woman from Abbott Elementary was Oprah. A lot of cool stuff. That was fun to see. The songs were great, of course. I love Weird Al songs. It was cool to see them all and to hear them all in there. And they just used the original recordings of Weird Al actually singing, so that was cool. There was quite a few laugh out loud moments in the movie. In particular, there's one in the beginning. It's in the trailer, I think, where his mom says something along the lines of like, "We just want you to stop being who you are and doing what you love," or something like that. It was really funny. And there's another scene where he's talking to her and she's telling him about how they hear a song on the radio, and then he goes, "What about Dad?" She goes, "Yeah, your father wanted me to tell you that he's not proud of you. He wanted to make that explicitly clear that he is not proud of you." I just thought that was really funny. There's a couple other, really funny moments in there, but those are the ones that stand out to me where got a big, laugh out loud kind of belly laugh out of me. The Rocky Road scene, the first time they sort of play in that bar and the crowd comes around to them and stuff. It's a scene you've seen in movies before, but it's always a fun scene, and I liked it. That was nice. And then there's sort of this LSD trip out kind of scene where he, kind of tries to, I guess, write the next song, and they kind of hint at some of the stuff from Fat, but they don't actually end up doing that song. So that was cool too. I liked all of that. So here's what I disliked about it. As much as I liked Daniel Radcliffe, and I thought he was great in Swiss Army Man, I thought him as Weird Al was just okay. I mean, I guess sort of the joke is he doesn't really look like him or anything, but I think Al said, "Oh, he's nerdy," and he saw him do like a thing on Graham Norton or something about the elements, and they're like, "Oh, this is the guy." But he doesn't particularly look like him. He doesn't particularly sound like him. He's not really doing a Weird Al impression or anything. I guess that's sort of the point. That's what they were going for. But in some ways, I almost wouldn't have minded if they just had Weird Al in here as Weird Al. And the joke was just that they've got a 60-something-year-old man pretending to be 20, like they did with Howard Stern in Private Parts. So, like, I don't know. I guess I like Weird Al's acting, like the way that he does this stuff with his voice, especially like in UHF and stuff, where he kind of screams. He has this very funny scream, and I missed stuff like that. And I did like seeing Weird Al in here as one of the executive characters, but I don't know. I had also read, I guess, if Daniel Radcliffe turned it down, the next choice was Adam Driver, which could have been interesting. Like I said, Radcliffe doesn't sing either, which again was a choice by the filmmakers. I'm sure they wanted to highlight Weird Al's songs, but when he first started singing at first, I'm like, "Oh my God, he sounds exactly like Weird Al." And then I realized, oh, that's just the actual recording of Weird Al. But I don't know, I guess it would have been a little cool to actually see him, try to do like a Weird Al impression or try to do some of the songs, They don't mention UHF at all in this movie. I guess, so the movie basically ends in 1985. He gets like shot down and killed, which obviously didn't really happen, and that's sort of the joke. I think in a lot of ways they're kind of trying to parody like the Doors movie with this specifically. Of course, all biopics in general, but yeah. So because of that, they don't mention UHF at all, which I know was sort of a disappointment for Al at the time, but I love that movie, and it's one of my movie I watched 1,000 times as a kid, and I quote it still to this day all the time. Spatula City, I'll club a seal to make a deal. I mean, all that stuff. There's no Nirvana in here at all, which again, that was a big part of Al's career. They kind of he helped rescue him. In a lot of ways, he helped them out too. I think they said they sold like an extra 1 million copies when his parody came out. So That would have been cool to see that. There's no mention of fat. They hint at fat. They show that his mom has gained weight, and he's kind of like, mom, you know, you've gotten kind of fat. And they're like, oh, you're about to, and then they don't do it. Which, okay, funny enough joke, but like, I don't know. I always liked that song. I think that was probably what really got me into Weird Al, was probably Fat or Eat It. I don't remember. Weird Al was just always around when I was a kid, I think. There's no original songs in this, even though they pretend that Eat It is an original song and that Michael Jackson is actually parodying Eat It, which is kind of funny. Although at first I'm like, wait, what are they doing here? I don't, where's this going? But I actually like Weird Al's original songs. I think since you've been gone is like legitimately a song that I love, and it's been running in my head all day because I've been thinking about it. Albuquerque, Hardware Store. He's got a lot of good original stuff, and they do have an original song at the end, I guess. But I wouldn't have minded to see a little bit more about that. I realize again they're going for a thing here, and it wouldn't have made sense in this movie, but I don't know. I would have liked it. Maybe they could have done a thing where he only wanted to do original songs and didn't want to do the parodies in the movie. And they could do like a meta thing where they're fighting with Al about whether or not they should put the parodies in the movie. And he's like, no, I want my original songs. But I don't know. And the thing is too, I realized, yes, they're going for kind of a ridiculous, like made up kind of biopic thing, which is why he dies at the end. And it's, you know, obviously he didn't really date Madonna in real life and none of that really happened. But I feel like if you're going to do that, then I wish they would have gone just really crazy with it. Would have just like gone off the rails with it. Like Forrest Gump, like he's going to go to the moon next. And then he's going to become the king of the universe. And then, you know, he's going to get addicted to some kind of alien drugs and have 1,000 children with some weird insect alien creature or something like that. Like just go see how far you can go with it. At this point it's just like you know, they were just kind of doing like a, you know, what's the Menace to Society movie or whatever it was. No, that's not it. Whatever, the NWA movie, Straight Outta Compton. Okay, but you know, that being said, as a comedy it works, and I did like the movie, and I think this could be a movie much like Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox Story, which people appreciate with time. You know, that maybe now people are like, it was okay, but in 5-10 years, I can see people being like, wow, the movie's actually really great. So other than that, the movie was directed by a guy named Eric Appel. He's done a lot of TV before this. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Son of Zorn, Silicon Valley, a bunch of stuff like that. The Kevin Hart Show, Die Hart, I think, which I didn't see. I think this is his first like full-length movie, as far as I can tell. He's done some shorts and stuff, and then it was written by Eric Appel and Weird Al Yankovic. And again, Appel has done some writing. I think he wrote the Weird Al short trailer parody thing they did with Aaron Paul a couple years ago. The Yankovic bump that they mentioned in the movie is sort of a true thing. So yeah, most of this movie is made up, but there are some things that are true. The Yankovic bump is kind of a real thing. I think not only did Nirvana say they sold like an extra 1 million copies, I think Chamillionaire said that his parody of White and Nerdy really helped him out a lot. And so that scene where they're at the pool, actually, they wanted to have Freddie Mercury in there, but Queen said no. So then they said, okay, well, you can do John Deacon then instead. That's the name, right? John Deacon? Yeah, the bass player from Queen, who actually wrote Another One Rides the Bus. So that worked out pretty well for them. As far as other things that did really happen, though, so Yankovic did really get his first accordion from a traveling salesman. That's actually a true story. That's how it happened. He really did record My Bologna in a bathroom, although it was before he met the rest of his band. And the song really was an instant success. He sent it into Dr. Demento. They played it on the radio, and people liked it. That is all pretty much true. Another One Rides the Bus really did have John Schwartz playing on the accordion case for percussion, although, again, that happened before they met the rest of the band. And then the Scotti Brothers really were his record label from 1983 to 1996, and Madonna really did suggest that he parodied Like a Virgin. So that's about all that's true in the movie, I think, that I could find at least. There's a reference to Cooney's karate class from UHF, so that was cool to see. They did have a couple little funny references there with like Prince being offended that he didn't win the very specific award for accordion player in a very specific genre or whatever, which is a reference to the fact that he often asked Prince to do parodies of his song, and Prince always turned him down because Prince was a pretentious loser. No, I'm just joking. He's fine, but I don't like Prince. And Coolio, they do a little Coolio reference in there too because he does Amish Paradise, which again is kind of interesting to me because they didn't do Nirvana, they didn't do UHF, but then they did do Amish Paradise, which actually came, quite a bit later. Okay, I mean, do whatever you want, I guess, but I'm just like, really? You're just gonna skip over Nirvana entirely? All right. So I did read somewhere that Weird Al's death in 1985 in the movie is supposed to reference his change in looks because he got eye surgery, shaved the mustache, and he grew his hair out long. But I don't know, that was supposed to be 1985 in the movie, and that happened in real life in 1998 is when he got the eye surgery. And the first time he really changed his look that I remember was 1999's Running with Scissors. where he didn't have the curly hair. And although he'd kind of messed around with his hair before and some other stuff, but yeah. Other than that, like I said, I can see this movie definitely being like a future cult classic. I can see it being the thing that, you know, now people are like, it's fine, whatever. But I can see people really starting to appreciate in time. And so maybe a lot of my comments that I just said now will not age very well. We'll see. Then one other thing they do mention, I think Pablo Escobar offered him 2 billion or 3 billion pesos. I looked that up to convert it. At least now it would be $153 million, 153.6 million. So yeah, a lot of money. And that's of course the joke, and they don't explain it, but I was curious, so I looked it up because I wanted to know. So as far as what my rating on this movie would be, I liked it, but I didn't love it. I think it's a really funny premise, and the movie, I wouldn't say that it didn't live up to the premise, but I feel like it's a bit to stretch for a full hour and a half movie. And I guess I wish they would have done a little bit more with it, or just gone a little bit crazier with it if they were going to do it crazy. So yeah, I think my score is going to be a 7 out of 10. I think it was good. I liked it, but I didn't love it. But if you saw the movie, let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great night, and I will see you here again next week.